Happy Thursday, everyone. All right, we're going to talk a lot of Arizona football, obviously, maybe even a little bit of Arizona basketball as well. But, big game coming up right here. Let's talk about how you could also make some money as well. You're listening to Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats. The show today is brought to you by BetOnline, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, got a lot to get to today, but first we're going to preview a little bit of the Cal game, what they can do, but also you look at this spread right now for Arizona. We're going to talk about this more during the BetOnline segment as well, but I don't believe that Vegas, and it's very rare that you can say this, and a lot of times when when someone says something like that, they turn out to look stupid because, again, people in Vegas generally have a better idea than people like me. I get that. But I do believe that Vegas is way behind the curve here on Arizona football, and you can look at it from a variety of different aspects. First, Arizona this year was a 6.5-point underdog against San Diego State. Granted, you don't have a lot to go with at that point, but San Diego State sucks, and Arizona blasted them. I thought that Arizona would win that game. Then you get Mississippi State. Mississippi State is fascinating because the spread started out lower than it should have been, but then it hopped up there at the end. But again, now Arizona was an underdog against North Dakota State. Love what North Dakota State can do, but there's absolutely no reason that Arizona should have been an underdog to North Dakota State. That just should not have been the way it was at all. Okay. Now, you look at Arizona is, depending on where you look, generally about a field goal underdog against Cal. I think Arizona's going to win this game, and I think Arizona's going to win this game by about 7 to 10 points. Cal doesn't stink by any means. That's not what I'm saying at all. But Cal also has struggled against a bad UNLV team, to put it mildly. They've also, yes, they hung with Notre Dame, but Notre Dame stinks. But also on top of that, they have maybe one of the worst offensive lines in the entire country. And when you have one of the worst offensive lines in the entire country, Arizona, and this feels really weird to say, but you know what? We're going to embrace it here. Arizona, when you got Hunter Echols coming off the edge, when you got Jalen Harris coming off the edge, that's going to be a problem for them. That's going to be a problem for them all the way around. Now, with this game, Cal's got a solid defense, no doubt about it. They don't give up many rushing yards. But as we've talked about from pretty much day one, that doesn't mean anything because Arizona, their primary goal is to be able to throw the ball. Again, everybody likes to run the ball. You always hear, about wanting to run the ball to be able to, set up the pass. That is awesome. We're also in the year 2022 right now, where the passing game and everything around it is basically built in to be able to help a team that can't run the ball. And not that Arizona can't run the ball. That's not at all what I'm saying there. So please understand that. But this is a game that Arizona should be able to score some points through the air. And Cal's got pretty solid receivers, no doubt about it. But I don't like really anything about the Cal offense in this situation. I also am not a huge fan of Justin Wilcox when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. I think he's very good defensively. But this is a game, though, that I do believe that Arizona can and should win. Now, if Arizona wins, what does this mean? If Arizona wins this, probably go into a bowl. I know. Don't get ahead of ourselves. And again, but you know what? That's part of what's also fun about sports right here is that when you can watch a team, when you can know exactly what's going to be coming at you, and you know what? We're going to win this game anyway. 3-1 would be huge for the Arizona Wildcats. So again, certainly something to keep in mind right there. But again, I think people are missing the boat a little bit on this game. I think they're missing the boat on this spread, and I think Arizona is going to continue to, or at least for a little while, that's going to continue to be the case. Now, there is obviously with Cal, there are some inherent advantages that they do have. You can't minimize the fact that they can stop the run. They're one of the absolute best in the country at that. And you look at, there's a myriad of stats to be able to support that. And we've talked a great deal about Jonah Coleman being able to, kind of wear down a defense. But it's a little bit different when you're going against a team that knows that you're probably not going to be able to run the ball. So we'll see on that one. But I think Arizona's just more talented. And I do believe that right now people in Vegas are still kind of living off the last 3 years. Everybody knows Arizona is 3-27. Totally get it. Nobody's disputing that Arizona hasn't been good, but this is a new year. And when it's a new year, you should have new expectations. And I have new expectations for Arizona football. There's no other way around it. I think this is a middle of the pack team, pardon the pun, but I don't think they're getting the respect that they probably deserve. Again, we're gonna find out when Arizona goes out there and plays, but I think right now Arizona's not really getting the respect that they deserve. So again, we're gonna find this one out, and we're gonna find this one out very shortly. But what I do like though about this team is that there's a level of stick-to-itiveness to them that is you generally don't see a lot. And especially too when it's, when you're earlier on in the season, a lot of times teams are looking for a reason to not play, or, maybe we're just not as good, whatever the case may be. That hasn't been the case at all, though, with this Arizona team to this point. And I don't really look for that to continue, or I don't really look for that to be the case. And I think a big reason that I don't look for that to be the case is because of how Jedd Fisch is built, because of what Jedd Fisch does out there. This is a team that really does rally around what Jedd Fisch, wants to do, and the image of Jedd Fisch. Writing that down. It's actually a good point on my part. But if you watch Arizona football, is fascinating because right now they're better than people think, but we're going to find out a lot this week, especially as a true road game. And if you can win, if you're Arizona, that sets up a game against Colorado where you should absolutely smash the Colorado Buffalo. Colorado Buffalo aren't good. And again, if Arizona doesn't win that game, I don't know really where we're at then at that point. So we'll definitely keep you abreast on that situation. But just remember here, Vegas, I still think is a little bit behind the curve. We'll talk about that more in just a few minutes. But also, how often do your major players, your major question marks going into a season appear to hit? And we'll start with Jayden de Laura right there. Jayden de Laura appears to be a hit. I don't know that anybody should really be that surprised by it because, again, he was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year last year. But you watch him, when he runs, it makes a huge difference. And I think that was the problem against Mississippi State, is that he had open opportunities to be able to run the football, and he didn't do it. That can't really be the case because, again, nobody's asking him to be Michael Vick. Nobody's asking him to be this guy who – nobody's asking him to be this guy who is going to, be able to just set the world on fire. But there has to be a level where you can actually get some real yards out of him. And if Arizona can do that, that's going to be a big thing. That's going to be a big part of this. But so far, Arizona's been able to do that. And when he runs, it also loosens up the defense a little bit because you know that you can't leave assignments. You can't do a myriad of different things that you would maybe worry about doing if you didn't have that behind you. So that's something to certainly keep an eye on against Cal. De Laura is going to be able to run the ball, or De Laura is going to have to be able to run the ball, because I don't know that Cal is going to be able to, or that Arizona is going to be able to run the ball on Cal. We'll find out, though. That game's coming up soon enough. We're going to even get my prediction tomorrow. All right. Now, a couple things that I want to talk about first. Let's talk about Nugenix. Haven't talked a ton about Nugenix on this show, but it's important that we talk about this. First of all, it's a sponsor, so that goes without saying. But Nugenix, here's basically the deal. If you're, as we get older, there's a lot of, we have a lot more, carry a little bit more fat, don't have maybe quite the energy that we have in the past, feel like you can't just really get into shape. And remember remember when it just felt easy to be able to do all this stuff? Well, now, if you want more energy to counter the negative physical effects of aging, Nugenix Total T, testosterone booster with testofen, will help you turn back the clock, re-energize your workouts, get your better results and at the gym, and you will feel like the man you really want to be. Nugenix Total T contains man-boosting ingredients like testofen. It has been validated in 5 clinical studies, shown to support free levels of testosterone in men. This is where you want to do. Again, check it out. Nugenix. As we get older, nobody wants to deal with some of those side effects. This is where you really want to be able to get it. So check it out again, Nugenix. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to look around the conference a little bit. We're also going to talk about ASU. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, time to make fun of ASU a little bit. Arizona, for the longest time, has been hearing nonsense from ASU fans about, Arizona, 70-3, lost 4 straight games, all of that nonsense. But my, how the tables have turned, and my, how we're not going to probably forget that the tables have turned. First thing that I do notice, though, is that Arizona State, forget that they're in a dumpster fire right now. Arizona has been in a dumpster fire before. Everybody knows what that looks like. But what made Arizona at least a little bit more interesting, though, is that a coach could come in here without the threat of sanctions, without the threat of, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do, and be able to hopefully win some games. Again, you already have an issue in front of you. You don't have to worry that you're going to have an NCAA sanctioned investigation against you. Oh, no, but that is not going to be the case for whoever takes that ASU job, because Herm Edwards, you talk about a guy that got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and his coaching staff. They made the big mistake of actually recruiting during COVID, which was absolutely ridiculous because, first of all, people are going to – when you recruit during COVID, you're kind of in uncharted waters right there because nobody's doing that, and nobody's doing that for a reason. And ASU not only did it, it was documentable. Whoever reported it certainly knew what they were doing and certainly knew that they could have some proof involved in that, and that's what happened there with ASU. But what cracks me up, though, is schools that cheat, at least be good if you're going to cheat. ASU wasn't even good when they cheated, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Herm's out. But again, if you're a young coach, why in the world would you go to a place like ASU right now? If you're a young coach, you're looking for a place to set yourself up for success, not to go and be hit with a 2-year sanction where you can't actually recruit. That's not what anybody's looking for, but that's what that's what everybody involved with ASU is going to be looking for right now. And one thing that I will say, is that Arizona is right now at the stage where they're about a year away from being really, really good. Really, really good. Now, I think this year they can be a bowl team. But after that, I think you start looking at about that 8 or 9 win plateau, because I think you could reach that. ASU's had a lot of struggles and was never able to really get over the hump. I think Arizona's going to get over the hump because they're recruiting at the similar level, but I think Jedd Fisch has a much sturdier foundation beneath him, especially when it comes to coaches right there who are energetic, who are in it for the long haul and understand what they're doing. I think that was a big part of the problem when it came to ASU, is that you had some coaches that didn't know what they were doing. But I'll tell you what, why don't we talk about BetOnline and where you can make some money. All right, the BetOnline Sportsbook is absolutely where it's at right now. This is the place that you want to be for everything. And from college football's here, you got college basketball, you got the whole gamut right there. Why not check out BetOnline Sportsbook? This is the place that you need to be. Everybody on there is, and it's easy to use. I can't tell you how many times I find people that you're like, well, I'd like to do this, but it's not easy to use, or I don't really like the way that it's set up. You get all kinds of different situations right there. The BetOnline Sportsbook is easy, it's verifiable, and people have been using it for a long time for a reason. So again, you got college football. You got NFL, you got NBA, you got college hoops around the corner. There's no better time than to check out the BetOnline Sportsbook. All right, we will be right back with you, and we're going to talk a little bit about maybe some predictions for this game. But like I said, BetOnline Sportsbook, I like Arizona to win this game straight up on the money line. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, another thing that's also fascinating that you need to remember here, because we are in the desert right now and everybody's hopping into this right now. So let's check it out here. My Solar Nerd. All right. This is a new sponsor for us. It's right in here. You live in a sunny state like ours. It's very likely that you've been offered a few people for free solar. The truth is that many of these companies aren't local, and because of that, they're misleading tactics and they're not being on the up and up. My Solar Nerds issue is simple. Help you guys find the best solar system to fit your needs. Everybody's different in life. Everybody knows that. But to be able to do that, the firm belief is if you live in Arizona, switching to solar should mean saving energy. You need to be able to check this out. I know a lot of people that have done this, and it makes a lot of sense. And if you do this, our listeners will get a $50 Amazon gift card when they book a no commitment evaluation. This promotion is only for our listeners that are homeowners. Visit mysolarnerd.com and select Locked On and how you heard about this section. Make the switch to solar on your terms. Start your research process by visiting mysolarnerd.com today and show Locked On some love by letting them know who sent you. And again, folks, going solar doesn't need to be complicated. My Solar Nerd makes it easy. Makes perfect sense. We're in the middle of the desert. This is the place that you need to be able to make some of these things happen right there. Okay. Now, with Arizona football, though, actually, no, let's talk a little bit of Arizona hoops, and we'll be heavy into Arizona football tomorrow. But with Arizona basketball, I think the one thing, Kylan Boswell was made available for the media today. And I think that people now, because Kylan Boswell already he's had a foot injury. I thought people maybe were placing a few too high expectations going in. Obviously, you don't want him hurt. That's certainly not what we're saying. But people do need to be realistic, though, about Kylan Boswell. He's very, very good. But as I've talked about multiple times, he's not Mike Bibby. He's not going to come in here, and he's not going to be one of the handful of best players in the country. That's just not in the cards. He's going to be a very good player, but I think people look at anybody that's got that 5-star label and they say, oh, well, he should be able to do this. He's not that type of dude, so you need to be able to keep that in mind as well. Now, what he is going to be able to do, though, while he rehabilitates his foot injury, is he's going to be able to get a good lay of the land. And by a good lay of the land, I mean that he's going to be able to adapt to college. He's going to be able to get healthy on the school's dime. And just as importantly, he's going to be able to be ready for 23-24. Now, we've talked about this a ton, but in the 23-24 class or season, that's when it's kind of a go for broke, in my opinion. That's where Tommy Lloyd really does make his impact on the college basketball world and say, here's my roster, here's my guys, and Arizona's going to be able to really kind of flex its muscle. I look for Arizona to be good this year. I think Arizona's got the potential to be great the following year. So Kylan Boswell, he would be a pure point guard. He just needs to be able to be the leader of that ship. And if he can be the leader of that ship, then Arizona is going to be in great shape. So that's where we're at. All right. Happy Thursday, everybody. We will be back with you tomorrow. Going to give you another official prediction. I do like Arizona to win this game, though. But again, everybody out there, really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. You have been listening to Locked On